Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Cosmic Conversations right here on the Conscious Awakening Network. I'm your host, Sheila Seppi, and I want to welcome each of you to tonight's episode. And I want to invite you to check us out on the replay on the Conscious Awakening Network, maybe on your favorite podcasting location, Apple, Android, Spotify, you name it, we're out there, or on Roku, Amazon, Apple TV, Android TV, and our new Samsung TV app is out now. So check those out. And if you haven't already, please download our app right at your app store so that you can take your phone and never miss an episode. So, as always, I have a couple announcements. First, I want to remind everyone that the Light Language Conference is going to be live, but online on CAN. So visit our website, consciousawakeningnetwork.org. Go ahead and sign up. You can sign up there. You can go to the lightlanguage.com website and do that. It's May 30th, 31st, and 1st. We have 18 dynamic speakers. So check it out. Now, also, I want to let everyone know that starting in June, you're going to need to register for Cosmic Conversations to receive the link each week. Now, there's going to be more information about it in our newsletter, so keep your eye out for that. And if you have any questions, of course, just feel free to give us a call. Also, want to remind you this weekend we have Maureen St. Germain, and she's going to be talking to us about the Fast Track Merkaba course that she's offering. One day starts at 10 a.m. You've got to check it out. And then June the 7th at 10 a.m., of course, Mountain Time, we have Messages from the Stars, Unlocking Humanity's Galactic History. And we hope you guys will join us for that as well. So this month, just as a reminder, my co-host is Laurie Wheeler. She is a transformative, holistic practitioner with over 30 years of experience helping other people to awaken to self-mastery, and her multidimensional healing work spars deep shifts in consciousness, expanded awareness, and alignment with your own true nature. And that's what she calls the juice for purposeful living. Now, as a starseed and an energetic conduit, Laurie draws upon homeopathy, chemotherapy, soul regression, medical intuition, light language, DNA recalibration, and galactic star code activations. She's the author of Oh No, Not Another Learning Experience, and she is currently developing a meditation and an activity book for young people. Laurie also channels guidance from multidimensional soul collectives, including Yeshua, Mary Magdalene, the Arcturian commander, Ashtar, Egyptian deities, the Sphinx, and the power of 12 angelics. And she weaves this ancient wisdom into every session that you have with her. And tonight we have Candace Davis. Now, she is our guest for the evening, and Candace is awakened as a soul braid Gaian Andromedan. And when she had her walk in experience in 2022, and ever since then, she has been working with the Andromedans and the angelic realm as a soul architect and a physical channel who is assisting individual light workers and children to attune to their quantum and divine blueprint. So it sounds like you and Laurie need to get together and talk about all the kids stuff that you've got coming up. Now, Candace is a trained medical herbalist, very similar to Laurie. She's a former school teacher and a high school principal, a whole person certified coach, and a unified field healing practitioner. Candace has written 2 books on healing and ascension, Insect I think this says Insect Heaven, available on Amazon, and the New Human Curriculum. And this will soon to be published. So keep your eye out on Amazon for that. And you can learn more about her and her energy services at Rising From Within Me at, risingfromwithin.me. Now, tonight her presentation is entitled From Diagnosis to Divine Activation, a walk-in story. And this is going to be a heartfelt conversation tonight, and you're going to discover how the journey from misunderstanding the awakening can lead you into a life of deep purpose and divine service. Candace shares her powerful walk-in experience and how a diagnosis of late onset schizophrenia opened the doorway to her true planetary mission as a soul architect and a cosmic artist. So, both of you ladies, good evening, good evening, good evening. I want to go ahead and Laurie, I want to bring you up, and I want to go ahead and bring you up, Candace, so everyone can see everyone tonight. Hello, hello, hello.
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 Good to
It's so
be
Yeah.
nice
here.
to meet you. Yeah, Lori,
So,
thank you so much.
yeah, I just want to start with Laurie first. Laurie, if you want to just say a few words to everybody, and Laurie and I will be popping on and off as we have questions, but we're going to just let you take the whole show away.
Gee, I don't know. You kind of caught me off guard.
Oh, sorry.
No, happy to be here. It's lovely to meet you, Candace. I can't wait to hear what you have to share. Your story sounds super intriguing, and I just love the sound of all your background, and can't wait to hear how you really got here and how has affected your life in that. So, when we have these happenings, and I call them kind of rude awakenings in a bit of a way because a lot of them can be like, whoa. They come with the most amazing stories. They really are. So happy to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, I thought you ladies would like meeting each other.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm really excited to be here. It is something of a show. Like when you read that, Sheila, I thought, did I do all of that? Is that what this is all about? I come from a very traditional background. Yes, I was a teacher. Yes, I was a school principal and spent about 15 years studying herbs. But the real story is what happened within my spiritual journey. And Sheila, you helped me through a lot of this. I don't know if you remember me coming to you. I had Spirit lead me to other walk-ins from William Linville, who was my first walk-in, and that happened literally 20 minutes after the soul merger experience occurred. William Linville walked into the room I was in, and my first words I said to him was, "Hi, I'm new here."
I'm sure he appreciated that and understood exactly what you were talking about.
Yeah, he most definitely did. And so I want to just give the audience some context and start a little bit behind that. I was always on a spiritual path my whole life, but I had two sort of larger moments. One in 2018 when I was a principal at a school for homeless youth. And I had a medical event. I thought I was having a heart attack, but really it was my guides, an aspect of myself who eventually merged with the natal soul, kind of came knocking on my school classroom door, and it put me in the hospital. And from there, as they tell you there's nothing wrong with you, I went to see a psychologist, psychiatrist. I'm like, well, maybe, me hearing voices, maybe me sensing other things in the room is a psychotic break, right? Like I'm going nuts because of the pressure of running a school. And they diagnosed me with PTSD, unspecified trauma disorder. I'm like, okay, let's begin. Let's get healed. Always looking to fit into the norm of what a normal brain, a normal healing would be. And I managed for about 4 years trying to find my way. And all the while, I'm having these experiences. And maybe some of you out there have similar experiences. And that's why I'm telling my story, because it freaked me out to see things, go through walls, like see dragons flying in the air. And, you have to do a double take when no, that's a dragon. No, it's just a cloud. But like you see it moving. Um, and all through this time, I was in denial of who I am. 2020 happened, COVID happened, the school I was working for shut down. I ended up losing my job. And Spirit took that opportunity of COVID, of rest, to show me more of what was coming in my life. And I was at nighttime astral projecting to different parts of the world. I spent a lot of time in Italy, crossing people over, sort of like a angelic gatekeeper of the rainbow bridge, if you can imagine souls leaving the body and, kind of going in this depot of sorts. And I was physically doing it, physically speaking the language of the country I was in, surrounded by other angelic beings that are my family, are my lineage to do this. And then I'd wake up be like, I didn't sleep at all. Just horrible. And again, I'm having, a psychotic break. So I sought spiritual help. And it was in 2022, I went to a spiritual retreat down in Georgia. And a week prior to that, I was being, again, pulled out of my sleep, seeing my body, hovering over my body, going off into space with big beings of light. Like they were massive. Some were balls, some were in the shape of humans, but didn't really have human features. They were just light. And I would see geometric shapes, I would see galaxies, and then I would be laid back down in my body and wake up. By the time I got to the conference, I was almost beside myself with the crazies. I didn't know what was happening. And, you go through the motions of this spiritual retreat. It was 5 days and, no internet and really intense spiritual work. And it was on the last day. I woke up at 3 a.m. I went outside on the property and I saw 12 dragons, and they were in her pool. They were in the forest. They were flying around the air. And I didn't know what to think. I thought, I have to go back to work as a high school principal in 2 days. I can't live like this. And it was that next morning when we had a one-on-one session with this healer. And at that time, I was wrapped up and I had this immense amount of pressure from above, pressure on the top of my head, pressure in my body. And if you have ever went swimming, like maybe you swam in a lake and the dock is just a little bit far away and you miscalculated and you feel like you're not going to make it, you're going to drown. And the next thing you know, you jump out of the water and you take this inhale of breath. That's what it was for me. And I was different. I didn't remember who I was for about a half an hour. I had this extreme love with my body, like just feeling everything. And I was like, oh my goodness. I'm like, I have a belly. Bellies are for laughing. And I would just break up like Santa Claus, just unbelievable laughter, excitement at it all after the panic went away. And then my vision opened up and I was seeing light codes. I was seeing, again, these geometric shapes. I was seeing art. And that's part of what is being brought through, including the art I did behind me. But I was new. And I didn't know what happened. So it took about a year of being a principal and finding my footing. I had to relearn how to drive. I had to relearn kind of how to eat. I didn't know what digestion was. It was hilarious. My husband was like, "Who are you? Where did you come from?" But I was happy. I was joy. Like nothing bothered me. Kids at school, like, teachers would send me students who were misbehaving in class, and I was like, "You're fine. I love you. Go back to class." It's hilarious. And so I've been integrating a soul merge ever since. So um, my natal soul is still intact. Sometimes it steps aside. I don't know if my natal soul is going to be here in this form for much time, meaning the soul, Candace, that was birthed in this body. But what has merged within me are an angelic being, many of them, and also some fae. But this aspect of myself, as well as the Andromedan, um, kind of like from the oversoul, but the main aspect is this soul architect that I work with in my sleep and become that sort of fullness in my sleep. And every day, Sheila, is a new adventure. I don't know if you can relate. Oh, you're muted,
I
Nathan.
absolutely, can relate. As you know, in my story that I share, I too thought I was having a psychotic break because these things just don't happen. You don't see people walking around that are not there, and you don't hear things, and you definitely don't stop and keep looking like, oh, wow, this is so cool. Kind of figuring that out. I remember going through the house and picking up objects and just holding them and feeling the shape and kind of smelling everything. If I'd been on one of your school trips, I would have been the kid getting their hands slapped because I had to touch and feel everything for the first little bit. But dropping into that knowing of who you are, sometimes it's quick and sometimes it takes a little while. Sometimes you integrate and you think, wow, this was great. And then bam, you drop right back into it. But I think that's kind of the way that life goes. And Lori, I know that you do a lot of work with galactics, and I'm sure you probably feel the same way. It's like, oh, yeah, I got this understanding. And then they just drop a whole new level with you.
Yeah, it's all strange in a sort of way until it's not strange, until you get familiar with it. So I get in a way what you're talking about, even though I'm not a walk-in, but I totally understand in a certain way. Candace, I want to ask you, how is it different, or is it different with your relationships with people? So you mentioned that you have a husband, you're were or are a principal still, and with the children of the school and just close relationships. Is it different for you now?
Short answer is yes. And actually, I left the school in June of 2024 to pursue integration. They told me that in January. And when I resigned, they're like, what? Because I've been doing it for so long. But my husband is a gem, and he is really a key component to my full integration. And I know that we had this contract. I don't like to say that word, but we had this, pinky shake kind of in the spirit world where we knew we would be together. And, I have felt him in my morphogenic field from when I was like 7 or 8 years old. So, what has been shown to me is that he's a key facilitator to allow me to digest these energetic enzymes that are here to support the rest of the world. And um, my relationships do change. And I think how they change is because I love people so much more. I mean, there's just this love for all the Gaians, is what they call us. My natal soul has been with the planet Earth, with Gaia, since its inception. And so it will continue after this body passes over, it will continue to reincarnate here on Earth to see its full creation. And actually, it's working with the creation of another planet that has just sort of solidified. It's invisible, but it just sort of solidified within our solar system. And I know the natal soul does work with that. Whereas, and eventually the natal soul will completely leave the body and go live and continue its process on that other Earth-like planet within our solar system. And what will remain, as I'm being shown, is that the this architect type, it's hard to explain, but like that is what it will eventually finish out the life stream here in this body on this planet, hopefully for a very long time, because what was one of the things that as a soul merger, I still have all of like that identity. You know, I have 6 kids. I have one still living at home, the other are graduated. And so, you know, I have to do laundry. I have to do carpool, you know, grocery shopping, which luckily my husband does. So I am here as like a living embodiment that ascension can happen. It happens from you, not to you. Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, I love that. Love that. Love that. So now I know you've got some projects coming up, and you want to share a little bit about those?
Yes. And so I think the big one that is still unfolding. So, you know, at Christmas time, it's not Christmas when we're recording this, but I don't know if any of your families would put the gifts under the tree like before Christmas. And my family did that. You know, we wrap up gifts, and I was really wanting to know what is in those presents before Christmas. And, you know, God has a sense of humor. And so I have these little presents. So I'm like, I want to know what that one is. No, 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 Candace. You know, you have to open this one first, or that's going to come later. And so sometimes I get very stubborn and natal soul, right? Because I'm still a Gaian, right? Still human. I'm like, you need to show me something right now. And what is shown is really this book that I'm writing called The New Human Curriculum. And the most important thing about it is that everything is new. Our healing modalities are new. What used to work before will not work in the dimensional world that we are creating collectively and consciously. The ideas of healing happening to you is old. It's more of like, how can you as a soul and a human activate and work with the healer and intention to allow that energy healing to be done. So, you know, gone are the days of just like, okay, I'm ready, you know, heal me. It really has to take that human process to do that, to master the innate body. And one of the other big components with this new human curriculum, there's 5 of them, but another big component is this idea of compassionate action. So, like empathy and sympathy are judgments. We are to move out of empathy for someone. You know, some people say, yes, I don't sympathize, but I have a lot of empathy. I'm an empath. And really, what they have shown me is the empath has a new role. And that role is like a compassion path. I don't think that's the right word, but where you see someone in their power of what their life opportunity will be, and you intention and you project that little bubble of compassion into their future morphogenetic field. So when you empathize, and as an empath that I was, it is it's with lack of belief that they can change their life. And so that's where the judgment comes in. And, you know, I love animals, and I was at the airport today and there was a little bird stuck inside, and I just felt like I'm going to hold the door open and get arrested so the bird can fly free, right? But I realized, because they said to me, use your compassion. And so I created a bubble of intention and the harmonics of compassion of that bird, either free or somehow getting its needs met, and allowed that consciousness to manifest its own best interest. And when I started to do that with the children at school, and no matter the problems and the stress that they were having post-COVID and being in the classroom, I can create these little, and everybody can do this, these little compassion bubbles, seeing that their highest good is there within that bubble, and then projecting and sending that's the action, out into the morphogenic field. So they can know and have the subconscious realize that they're empowered to pick up that bubble, to find and navigate the field, to go to that bubble. And so there was no more empathy. There was no more sympathy. And with that, there is no more judgment.
Now, can you go into that just a little bit deeper?
Yes, absolutely. So what we do now, and the newness of this is we create all the time these little bubbles. And for lack of better words, they're really shapes and geometric patterns and light codes and all that stuff. They're thought forms. But we interact with this morphogenetic field. And for those that are on a spiritual path, can become consciously aware of the thought forms that they're creating in these like little presents, these little packages that you can give to other people's Christmas trees. For like, and so you create these little packages with the intention that one day the person or the animal that is needing that compassion will find it and open it. So I can give an example in my life. If anybody's ever been to Target or Costco and have witnessed a parent-child relationship where the child screaming, needs a nap, mother needs a nap, and there's conflict, right? So I created this compassion bubble, this little package with my intention, imagining the mother and the child that were at odds with each other, embracing in love, her giving the baby a bath, her rocking the baby and reading a story. And, that love between a mother and a child that is innately there, but not evident in the moment. And so projecting that act of compassion to the future, knowing that each of those individuals, the mother and the child, are empowered enough with the same creator, with the same soul strength to find their way and navigate. It's like a lighthouse or a little beacon, a buoy in this great ocean morphogenic field. And ships can navigate towards the light. Fish come up towards the light. And all of our souls on this planet can do that. And so part of my responsibility and my service to humanity is to share that anybody can do this for another. And it's completely different than empathy.
I love that, Candace. I love what you're saying. And I hear quite often, people, we're all challenged, right? The challenges are what they are these days. And people saying they just don't know how to deal with certain things, certain situations. They might, there's anger or whatever the emotion is. And they say, there's nothing I can do about it. But I love how you put it because there is something we can do about it. You may not be able to change physically or mentally, emotionally the situation, but the concept of what you're talking about, this life power, this it's photonic light in right? And that light speaks to the light in us. And I see it that way too, these little encapsulations, lots of them, right? All of and they speak to our light. And I think by it creates an empowerment for us that we're doing something because we want to do something. It's the nature of the beast, so to speak, of who we are. We care, so we want to do something, and feeling powerless. So the fact that we can make the choice in the moment because it's a free will, a choice to be empowered to send light, to send in these encapsulated, compassionate bubbles, so to speak. I think that's an awesome idea. I think children can grab onto that. I love it. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, it's like playing Santa. I'm sorry. I'm a Christmas nut. Sandal soul is the whole idea. But and another thing, Lori, is curiosity. And my soul told me from working with kids for a number of years is that as a former science teacher, you build your lessons on innate curiosity. But they showed me that curiosity is a tool that a lot of children have, but adults here on earth can use it to further release judgments and empower. When you're seeing, the world as it is and going through this transition, you might witness something, happen to a neighbor or cancer or close your eyes and you can think of a plethora of things that can disturb the spirit. And what they told me is that using curiosity, you can ask questions. I wonder why they put that in their life plan. I wonder why
Mm.
that happened in such a way. What was the highest good? Because the highest good always happens.
Mm.
So when you question with curiosity, um, oh, I wonder what little package of light that I can make for them. I wonder how long it will take for them to resonate with that. And why is that happening in the world? What is the highest good that's going to come from that? What's their soul life plan? I can look at even people in my own family who think I'm nuts, by the way, throwing that out there. And I'm like, gosh, I wonder what their soul's journey is for when they awaken and what's going to be that moment from them and how grateful I am that I can be my authentic self, how strange that might sound to the rest of my family. And I wonder what our dance is going to be like.
Mm.
I wonder how our souls are going to dance together
Mhm.
on the other side. And so that curiosity plays a big role in helping the individual let go of the burden light workers sometimes feel to change the world because you're not going to fix it. And you can't fix it using three-dimensional tools and old things. It's really about creation and like,
Mm.
what are you creating? And that's part of that new human curriculum is to, take that leap of faith. And actually, they tell me it's not about a leap of faith into the unknown, it's about being a faithful leaper. And how can you have faith in your creation, in the highest good, in order to take that leap into something unknown? And that's really where humanity is at this time.
Wonderful. I love that. And I love how you bring in all the curiosity. Because that is kind of like that innocence of a child and
Mhm.
really trying to put that energy out for the best and the highest good and those little energy packets. So everybody that's listening to this, I hope that tonight or in the morning that you spend some time and just create those little energy packets. Just be as creative as you can and see what you can come up with. Great idea.
Yeah, it's fun. Life is supposed to be fun. And what they say is that whenever you gather together, like in your community of cosmic conversations and the conscious awakening network, it builds this higher vibration morphogenic field.
Mhm.
It increases that.
Yeah.
So this is so beautiful, Sheila, that you said yes and you created this
Mhm.
for all of us. And it's a beautiful thing. And I thank you. Everybody here is doing so good. I just hear it. It's like the team, they're thanking all of you here because everybody that's tuning in are making those packages of light. And they're like, I'm seeing it like you're riding your own bubbles. You're in your own sleigh with the bag in the back of all these packages, and you may not realize that you're doing it, but everybody here is actually doing that either in their dream world or their subconscious world or in their physical manifestation of servitude. Everyone here.
Beautiful. Now, I want to kind of circle back to something that you were talking about earlier when you were, well, we joke about it, but it's always true that our families think that we're crazy. It was interesting. I talked with a relative this afternoon, I just had this incredible urge to give her a call. Just said, "Hey, how you doing?" She goes, "I've got questions for you. You remember that video you sent?" Now, let me tell you, I sent her this video a long time ago, and she just now tuned into it. And she's like, "Well, I got to ask you all these questions." So she started asking about that process, and I could feel the excitement that there was some kind of a recognition that even though she didn't understand, it wasn't like you're going to throw the baby out with the bathwater kind of thing. They're very, yes, maybe think you're crazy, but they're also extremely inquisitive. Are you finding that to be your case?
I know my family loves me very much. I know our souls talk and communicate, and there's so much love from my family, but they don't ask questions. They think it's cute.
Yeah.
They're in that stage. Oh, Candace, she's just being cute. She's doing her own little thing. But I just there's love. There's so much love, and that's really what the soul merger has shown me is like there's so much love.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Except for my husband, I gotta throw it out there. He doesn't think I'm crazy.
That's
So
great.
yeah.
That's great.
So helpful.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So, of all the things that you're doing right now, what is it that's exciting you the most?
Oh, uh, the show actually, Ascension Stories that I put on your network, and it was, I was on a couple of podcasts, and I said I never want to do that again. And then it was 2 days later, you're going to do it again, and you're going to do it yourself, your own. And I've learned just to say yes, yes, and okay, figure this out. So Ascension Stories is an opportunity for anybody, and hopefully you're watching this, that you will get to be on the show to share your spiritual journey with others. And so within sharing our spiritual journeys, whether that's ETs, angels, a mountaintop meditation experience, anything that you feel that has shaped your spirituality for the better, and releasing that into the ethers and being witnessed by others, we anchor higher light on the planet. And it's really important for this time as more and more people are awakening so they don't feel alone. They don't feel like they're having a psychotic episode. So I would love everybody to be willing to share their ascension story and allow that resonance to be integrated into those that are listening, and also being able to hear your story back. So when somebody comes on the show, I encourage them, sign up and watch and allow what you say from the heart to penetrate the cells more. Because when we receive information from above, it's like these layers. And my guides will tell me something like, yeah, 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 you already told me that. And they're like, no, I do not see it anywhere. Like, you need to integrate it. And that's what this ascension story does. And I'm having a blast, loving
Great.
on people, meeting on people. So I think we've got 4 episodes, just sent the 5th episode. And my guides are telling me this is going to be a couple of years to run to assist us and assist
Beautiful.
humanity. Even if they watch it 10 years from now, it's going to resonate with someone out there.
Yeah. How awesome is that? I just love that concept.
Yeah, we need more people to have that fierce courage that it takes to say, I had a spiritual experience and I want to talk about it. All walks of life, they don't have to be a healer. They don't have to be a walk-in or soul merger. They just have to be human. We love to have, an angelic being come sit in my chair. But, they just have to be human and be willing to let their story be told.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful.
And also doing, I'm just going to be starting to like, I think I might have mentioned this when I was on the launch party, because that was something that channeled through is I'll be showcasing more of my art and doing some sort of cosmic soul art. This picture behind me was painted after a meditation, and the codes that are in it, what they told me is through the architect aspect, we're bringing in more color, more light wavelengths into our human body um, visual spectrum. And so it's really important if you're a creative and you think, oh, that might be trash. Like it's not. And I heard beautiful music from Susie, and there's codes, there's light, that's her art. And through this new show that's going to be called Cosmic Soul Art, we'll be doing art together and hopefully to release some of that light codes within your own art, that you can create art from within yourself for you or for someone else. It's the wrapping paper to those packages that we're giving to others.
You really like Christmas, huh?
Oh, oh my gosh. I had 5 Christmas trees this year. My
Oh,
husband's he makes me pare back, and I'm like, okay.
I had one and it took me till like the middle of February to get it down. I said, no more. I'm done.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
5. Wow.
That's a Valentine tree. Just keep
There you
decorating
go.
it.
There you
Yeah.
go. There
Well,
you
and
go.
it's the idea that the universe is always giving us gifts.
Yeah.
And, it's really about the love. And oh, one more thing, they're telling me to mention this. I'm sorry if I'm gonna run a little long. But part of our healing and our moving into the new paradigm and this new 5-dimensional realm is that it has to come from the humans. And so much we look to others to decide for us what our soul plan is,
Mhm.
or we look to a channel to decide for us what
Mhm.
kind of world we are creating. And channeling is going to go away.
Mhm.
It's really going
Mhm.
to come from within every single human and Gaian on this planet. And it has to. So we have to not only take responsibility for those little packages, those thought forms of compassion that we're creating, but we have to take responsibility in the belief that our answers come from within us.
Mhm. Mhm.
And if you don't know what your soul's purpose is, someone may not outside of you can only hint at what that is, maybe from
Yeah.
reading the Akash or the
Mhm.
morphogenic field, but you know.
Mhm.
And everybody has to come to that belief that they know what is inside of them, what their purpose is. And the greatest power we have is to love ourselves, and from that loving another human. And it's like a different frequency. That love from a human to another human is the like surge pump that is creating this new planet, this new world, and this new dimension. We think it might come from our galactic help or our angelic help, but it's coming from us. And as the more people realize their true magnificent and power from within to create that multidimensional realm that we're moving into, um, it's all anchored in the love that we have for each other, and that human to human love, whether that's human to self or and another human to human, that activates so much more of this quantum DNA within our bodies. It truly is the key to moving forward. And that's part of this whole soul architect, is like you got to teach, the kids, you got to like undo the collective conscious training in the children, so they know that really their power, like infinite power of the universe, like itty bitty living space within us, and it's all push. The gasoline is the love from one another.
Candace, I
Yeah.
love that. It's really just a great visual. Um, do you have any specific way that you can share with people how to go in and trust if we're sidestepping going outside of ourselves to hear through other people because people don't trust what they're hearing within. Do you have some recommendation about that?
Yeah, it's not easy because everybody, if you had any lives on this planet, because humans can be wacky, you tend to build up these barriers, right? And start to second guess each other, and you're second guessing as yourself in that. And so I have a little exercise with your audience that we can do if you'd like.
Beautiful. Sure.
Okay, so we'll just it's a two-part question. You will be giving yourself the answer to a question that you won't know what it is. So I'll explain once we just take a breath. So let's connect our higher self to our heart physical space at this time, and knowing that everything is perfect as it is, including yourself, the room that you're in, the space that you're on. It's all perfect because you created it. And as we're breathing in through the nose, let us just release any preconditioned thought that we have about what is going to happen. And whenever you are feeling that you can be settled within yourself, there's nothing to do, I want you to drum up an image of anything that comes to your mind, the first image. You could take a breath again and release just whatever image comes up. That is your answer. And now I'm going to give you the question. The question is, what do I need to let go of right now? The premise is that your higher consciousness, your super consciousness, your high self knows the answer before you even ask. So whatever that was, I don't know if anybody wants to get on and share before we go to the second question. Oh,
Yep. I don't think we don't have
I
any.
see somebody raising their hand.
There we go. Great. All right. Let me go ahead. Can you unmute yourself?
Hi, it's
Great.
Brad.
Hi, Brad.
How's everybody? Thank you for the invite tonight. I just saw the image of a wolf's head, and that was the very first thing, and I literally had no idea why. And then, so the answer to the question is this is something that I need to give up. So I believe my higher self is telling me right now that this is something that I've been working through now for a couple of months, which is a new way of coming about what I've been practicing with healing and being a transmuter of lower vibrational energies and doing a lot of that kind of work. So now this is my challenge is to develop a new healing modality and dissolve this old way of thinking that we need to remove things from people, this 3D way of thinking, which, by the way, still works very well in the 3D. It works incredibly well, and it gives people incredible relief, but that's not where we're going. So if I'm going to go somewhere, then I need to uh, work on this new 5D way of thinking about how I'm going to come about being, you know, 1,000 times more helpful to humanity than I currently can be, using this old system that I've crafted and been using and I'm very comfortable with. So it's a bit uncomfortable trying to figure this out, but that's it.
That's
Thank you so
beautiful.
much. Yeah, for sharing and just your awareness of who you are, and at the same time, seeing where you're going is a beautiful place to be. And not a lot of people have that, both hemispheres of yourself together. Thank you so much for sharing. If nobody else wants to share again, we can move on to the next question.
Okay.
So I want you guys to take a breath, settle within your heart space, and just like a chalkboard, erase the chalkboard. Give it a good wipe down, whatever color chalkboard or chalk that was there. There's nothing to do but just to breathe, shake it off. If you want to bang the erasers, you can do that. And at the next few breaths, I want you to pull up another image. Anything that comes to mind. What's the first image that you have in your mind's eye, in your heart, and know that it's perfect? Take a breath. And the question is, what do I need to accept in order to move forward? Again, knowing that our high self knows the answers before the question is even asked. Is there anybody who would like to share their experience?
Susie, are you coming off mute to share? Thought so.
But I mean, I wanted to, but I was kind of shy. My image that came to me was you, Sheila, because you've been encouraging me so much to let go of the Sperry and the whole thing. Sperry was my fiance. I met him on Sheila's show, and he killed himself 8 months ago. And so I've been trying to like get through this, but it was so. You've just been saying, like the hope is just get rid of everything and just, and that's kind of what I'm having to do. I'm going through so much anger, I'm just so angry that this happened, but I've got to get through it. And Sheila, you've been helping me more than anybody. So yeah. Thank you.
That's beautiful.
Thanks, Susie.
Yes. Thank you for sharing and really opening up. Through your vulnerability, you allow and accept those packages from others.
Yeah.
As those in your life, like Sheila and your friends, and really, I like your music. When you sing or listen to the music, those are your packages, Susie, of compassion for you, and you're accepting those.
Yeah, I am. Thank you.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So that's the process I use to gain more trust. That I'm not gonna, I'm not crazy. I will draw, I will paint, I will doodle, and then I sit and say, "What's the question?" I answered myself. What's the question? And I'll always get a question.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Yeah, so this is a great practice for absolutely everyone, just to kind of sit and to be and wait before you even ask the question. That's great. That way we're really stepping into that place of trust.
I
Yeah.
also think it helps people come into their own symbology, because if you get some sort of picture, you have to really understand deep within what that really is significant of, right? I mean, it took me a few moments to really, what does that, again, the curiosity, right? What does that really mean? You know? So I think it's like twofold almost in a way.
Yeah. I got like a steamship. At first, I thought it was a cruise ship, and I'm like, "Woo, baby, I'm going on a cruise," but it wasn't. It
Full
was this
steam ahead.
big, yeah, I guess so. It was this huge steamship, and it was just barreling through the water. So, the symbology is super, super powerful
It
in our
is.
lives. And the thing I love about it is that symbol to me may mean something totally different
Mhm.
to someone else. So again, that's kind of stepping into that awareness and learning how to really drop deep inside to trust yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you only know for yourself, right? Even the wolf has a different meaning for me. And if I were to project onto Brad, well, a wolf means this, or, my card for a wolf means this, then that's not doing him any justice. And that's really disempowering him from finding his own answers, which he knew right away what it meant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not to think it with the brain, but to feel it. What does it feel like to you rather than thinking, because you're going to get that, interference from the ego. I got a picture of a house and I really had to stop. What does that really feel like to me? It's a typical one that kids will draw, right? What is that house? And it really signified for me safety and security. It's what's going on in the animal brain still. The old stuff just continues to repeat, and it shows up, and then you think you clear, a little bit more shows up, and so on and so forth. But yeah, there's no such real thing. That's an illusion, so it's understanding it and then how to proceed to shift that in a way. Yeah.
Yeah. And I see a hand there, Sheila.
Yep, I do too. Hey, Brad.
I just wanted to share one practice that I consistently use when asking any questions first, because I ask many questions of my own higher self often. And what I was instructed to do is to use the command first. I command
Mm.
my ego to recede.
Mm.
And then you ask your question with the ego, because the ego has to go to the back seat when you command it.
Mm.
Then you ask your question, and then you will get the answer will come from the higher self without any interference from the ego, because you're a divine manifester and creator. So when you use a command, that's it.
It's true.
That is so true. Unless you're commanding your 12-year-old to take out the dishes. That does.
There you go.
Alma might have. Okay.
Well,
Well,
Candace, this has been absolutely delightful. I've really enjoyed, having you on. And in the last couple of minutes, excuse me, that we have, is there anything that we didn't talk about that you might want to share with people, or a final thought that you want to leave people with?
yes, within the realm of infinite possibilities
Mm.
lies your heart. And the heart essence of who you are is not determined anymore by any of these uh, the human constructs. And the chains are off, right? The door to the cell has been opened. And it is you that it will decide whether or not you will walk through this journey of your embodiment or not. But everybody will always eventually walk through those cell doors. When we have the courage that comes from within, that comes from your knowing as the faithful leaper, you will see that the world outside of the cells that you have created for yourself, for learning, for constructing these paradigms of trauma and disarray, once you are outside of that, you can see that the future is of limitless possibility. What I think some don't understand is that there is a majority of you already outside of those cell doors. And when you see the shadow that is in front of you, that is the welcome mat to embrace that shadow, for it lives outside of those cells. And you would be very surprised that once you come into the light of that shadow, you will find that that is the light of your super consciousness. And what was shadowed does not exist, nor ever was.
Mm, beautiful. Thank you so much. So you can find Canvas at risingfromwithin.me. I love that. That's really cute. So, Lori, how about you? Have you got any final words for the evening?
Yeah, I just want to address this concept of trusting what we get and what we receive. And I often think of it as like conscious imagination. It's two sides of the same coin. Um, it is all imagination in a sort of way. So don't get too hung up on what you see or what you think is imagination. Just accept it in and open yourself to trusting whatever comes, because even if it's not what you think, just allow it to talk to you because it sends a message no matter what.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that. And do you want to tell people how they can find you?
Oh, yeah, I'm at wellnesswithin.net, and I'm just getting ready to release the itinerary for Egypt for October. I'm a little behind time, but getting it out, and we have got such an amazing itinerary, places we're going that nobody else goes, but because of the Egyptologist, we have the access. This is just going to be so chock filled, and Thoth is with us and many of the deities, and I just can't wait again to go back. So, yeah, just getting ready for that. Thank you.
Oh, it sounds amazing. And you know that little the Eye of Horus that you had sent to me? Instead of putting that on a necklace, I have it with a piece of tape right here on my wall. So I see it constantly and I'm constantly rubbing it. So yeah, I just wanted to thank you again for that. I
That
just
was in the King's Chamber, by the way,
Yeah,
Sheila.
I
Yeah,
love that. It's absolutely wonderful. And that energy is great as I'm sitting here working. So thank you.
you're welcome.
Oh, so Lori, Candace, thanks for being
Thank
here.
you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you, everybody.
everybody,
Pleasure.
for being here tonight. Great conversation. If you're watching this on replay, just drop into it wherever you are. If you're listening to it audio or watching it, just sit back and relax and just let this vibration of joy just kind of move through you. And so, everyone, until we are back together again, namaste, much love, and hope to see you next time.